We call this the generosity ladder. And it's about taking steps up the ladder in generosity. And so for each and every one of us, there's always a first time, right? There's a first time that you're generous. If you give to Vintage Church, there was a moment where you had never given before, and you took a first step and began to give. And so that's the first step up the generosity ladder. You take that first step, then you become an occasional giver, where you might not give regularly, but you give on occasion, once every month, once every quarter, twice a year, where you have these resources and you're beginning to be more intentional with them, more generous with them. So you go from first time to occasional to intentional. Intentionality means you have a plan. So you have X amount of hours in a week, you have X amount of dollars in a paycheck, and you're saying, I'm going to be intentional with those resources. So it's saying, hey, every month I'm giving 5% of what I make back to the local church. Every week I have 5 extra hours in my week. I'm giving it back to that organization. So there's intentional giving. From intentional, you move to faithful. At Vintage Church, faithful for us means 10%. With your income, the money that you make, that means every month you're setting aside 10% of what you make to go back into the local church. Think about your time. Think about your energy. How are you being faithful to be generous with those things? And so you keep taking steps up the generosity ladder. The last one is extravagant giving, extravagant generosity, where you're seeing your resources not as your own, but as the Lord's. And you're giving everything. By the way, this is the model of Jesus. Jesus was an extravagant giver because he did what? He gave up his life for you and I. And so what this means is we go above and beyond the 10%. With our time, with our money, with our energy, with whatever we have. And why this is so important for you and I, yes, on a spiritual level, what this means for you and I is that if we're going to anticipate God, we give by faith, and that means we be generous. And every single one of us, in everything we do, we plan, right? If you've never given a dime, it's going to be very difficult to be right here immediately. But if you plan your giving, if you plan your time, right, then you're able to take a step up the ladder. Last week we shared about it. Our goal over the next 2 years in the Anticipate initiative is $2 million. That's year one, that's 2019's budget of $750,000. That's 2020's budget of $750,000, and an additional expanded generosity of $500,000. Do you know how we reach that together? By each and every single one of us taking steps to be more generous, to give by faith.